was one of those cold days when your feet just can't get warm. You know those days. You've surely experienced at least one of those days when your feet just never get warm, no matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you wear 2 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of socks. It doesn't matter if you put your feet right up next to the heater. They just don't get warm. It was one of those days. So I decided not to let cold feet hinder my progress that day, and I went on my way to work just as I always do. I am a creature of habit, you know. I always go the exact same way to work every single day. I go the same way there. I go the same way home. I never deviate. I make exactly one stop on the way there and exactly one stop on the way home. And they're not at the same place. So this morning, when I was on the way to work, I stopped at my usual stop to pick up my usual purchase. And the store was closed. Closed. Forever. It had gone out of business. I stood there in an absolute state of shock. I didn't even feel my cold feet any longer. My one stop on the way to work was closed. I could never stop there again. I didn't know what to do. I felt so anxious. My heart was racing. I thought, well, maybe I could stop somewhere else instead, but it wouldn't be the same. I thought, well, maybe I could stop where I stopped on the way home, but that would be on the way home, and if I did that, I'd have to go home afterwards, and that would be just much too strange at 9 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know what to do. So I sat on the ground, the cold, damp ground, and I began to cry. I'm sure I looked very foolish. It wasn't long, and there was a small crowd of people gathering around, watching me sit on the cold, dank ground, crying. I'm really rather embarrassed when I think about it now. But at the time, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't like them watching me. One person kept trying to help me. He said, "Stand up, young man, stand up." Well, I stood all right, and I took that man, and I shoved him through the glass door with all my might. Shards of glass broke, piercing his body. The blood made quite a mess, actually. And after that, I felt so much better. My anxiety was relieved, my stress was down, and my feet didn't even feel quite as cold. So I took a deep breath and smiled and waved goodbye as I continued on my route to work. I didn't notice that tiny little blood spot on my pant leg. I mean, how could I have? I was preoccupied. At any rate, I got to work. Everything seemed normal enough until someone pointed out the blood spot on my pant leg. He made a joke. He shouldn't have made a joke. He said, "If you were a woman, I'd think you were having your period." It was a sexist joke at that. I don't like sexist jokes. So what could I do? The next thing I know, he's been pushed through a glass plate window and has shards of glass sticking in his body, and I've got blood spots on my other pant leg now, too. I could tell it was going to be one of those days. So I left. I saw no reason to stay. I knew everyone would get very upset when they saw him lying there on the ground with the blood and the glass and the mess and all of that, not to mention what they would do when they saw the blood spots on both my pant legs now. So I decided to go home. It was a little early, admittedly, but I was going home anyway. So I stopped where I always stop on the way home. I couldn't believe it. I mean, this was too incredible of a coincidence to be happening. This time, on the way home, my other stop was also closed, with a gone out of business sign on the door. I was beside myself. I wasn't as anxious as I was angry now. And that poor woman that came up to me, she really shouldn't have done that. She should have known better. I think she meant well, I suppose. She said, "Are you all right?" I didn't even say no. But I left her half in a broken window, half out the broken window. Shards of glass piercing her body. More blood spots on my pants. I said, I'm going to have to take these pants to the cleaners.